My name is Thennavan. I work for Adobe. So sorry about being a little bit late, but it looks like it was pretty much of a, they said first it was 12:20, then it was 3:20, and then they put me on stage on 1:10. So sorry about that. So I think there's no topic in your sheet. What we wanted to cover today was what is the framework for performance marketing, right? In digital, everything is measurable. So how do you put to a framework which would help you to manage the disruptions which is happening in the industry, but also start to ensure that you're able to execute on your business strategies and provide a differentiated customer experience to your end customers. I was in the flight today and I was looking at Times of India today. I don't know how many people here read Times of India today. So there was an interesting article which talks about how now Facebook can predict my personality trait better than my wife based on the number of tweets, based on the number of likes I've done. And all it needs is, it has to just look at what I've liked 300 times and it can come up with my personality trait. It's pretty scary, right? I wish everybody in this room would have that amount of data so you can know your customers a lot better, understand what is it they're looking for, and ensure you're able to deliver a relevant communication with the customer. But unfortunately, that's not the stage where we are in. Most of the enterprises don't have access to the data. Data is pretty much across silos, and trying to understand get a good perspective of the customer, it's a big challenge. But the big advantage is with digital, it's pretty much possible to measure everything and get to understand the customer better and drive efficiencies in your marketing spends. I just wanted to play a video. There's no music?
Hello. Thanks for coming. My name is John. Any questions before we start? Good. How does your company currently measure results in digital marketing?
Well, we look at the bigger picture and try to see what kind of ripple effect we go for the key influencers. At the end of the day, we want to create a halo effect around our brand recognition.
And we try to fine-tune engagements to get
Working on getting a real 360-degree view of the customer to
cross-segment synergies. Like
closed-loop marketing.
sort
And classification of our brand.
SEO.
click-through rates.
Just make it go viral.
Always when I see this video, I smile because it's all about big jargons, whether it is cross-segment synergies or the marketing objective is to make it go viral. But at the end of the day, how do you measure it? How do you report it to the customer? So if you really look at it, pretty interesting thing is how the society has evolved. If you really look at the Alvin Toffler third wave, society basically evolves in waves where it builds on the previous one, but also replaces the earlier one. We started off with an agrarian society, and then we moved to an industrial society, and then it's information age. Interestingly, these waves took about it moved the civilization forward, and it's also transformed the lives of people. But the interesting thing is it took about centuries to make these shifts. But if you really look at digital, what's happening? Digital is going through a similar, evolution, but the challenge is the time is very compressed. If I had spoken to everybody in this room about 3 years back, everybody was more focused on, I want an online presence, I want to get my website up, I wanted to start selling, I wanted to see revenues. It was a pretty easy world. It was, it's not that complex, right? Basically, there were a lot of free tools available. They were able to install some of these tools, get up to speed, get running, look at metrics, whether it's number of visitors coming in, whether they are signing up a form, they're buying something. But world has become a little bit complicated in the last 1 year, right? If you really look at it, now it's more around channel centric. What do I mean by channel centric, right? Mobile is playing a big role in the last 1 year. You see, whenever you switch on the TV, it's all about downloading each brand's app, right? So I don't know how many apps can a customer, can an end user have on a smartphone, but everybody is promoting the thing. But that also brings complexities. Interesting thing with mobile is also it gives you a lot more data, right? Because it's in my mind, mobile is more intimate. You get a lot more information about the user, where the user is, and also there are technologies like iBeacon, which is enabling us to think in a little bit broader way. So when you really look at it, what is next year going to look like, right? Because if you look at last year, it's pretty much looking at the rearview mirror and driving your car, but that's not what you want to do. What we are seeing more and more in the industry is now people are thinking about how can I make it more journey-centric. When I say what do I mean by journey-centric, because every touch point today is a digital touch point, right? You could be a retailer who has a big offline presence, but still you're collecting a lot of information about your customers using loyalty cards. The question is, can I leverage that to provide a seamless, consistent experience, not only when I walk into the shop, but when you are online on the website? It's the same thing, right? It could be a bank which is promoting a personal loan, but the customer is going and looking for, at this point in time, from a user is going and looking for a bike, a Harley Davidson bike, right? Because there's an interesting offer available. So how can I take that online behavior back into my offline system and come up with which makes relevance, right? When I walk into the branch, then my relationship manager, starts to have a conversation around, how he can give me a loan for a Harley Davidson. So that's what we are seeing, right? But but the interesting thing is this is transforming very rapidly. When you just take a step back and look at it and say, yeah, I know everything, this is very simple, but what is, blocking us from realizing the potential of digital? I think the first and foremost is the changing customer patterns, right? So, people want immediate information. Earlier, it used to be, people are on Twitter or people are now on Pinterest. The medium is exploding. And the way they are consuming content is also, continuously, dynamically changing every day. So whatever was used yesterday is not the same today. The other big challenge which marketers are looking at is, over a period of time, there was a social channel, so we need to put in a social system. So the social data is separate. Then there was, all this action happening on the website, so the data on the website was separate. Then we had something happening in mobile, so that was a separate initiative. So all this data is basically residing in multiple silos, making it very, very difficult for a marketer to get a good view of the customer so that they can execute on their campaigns very well. Last but not the least, it's the tool set fragmentation. What I mean by that is today, if you go to a company, the social team is using some tool which doesn't talk to the analytics tool. The analytics person doesn't know what's happening in the social world. Today the social signals are happening, but you're collecting the social signals, but that's not going into your customer service system. It's not going into your experience management system, right? Just to give you an example, let's say one of your high premium customers is having an issue and he's taken to social to complain about the service. Next time when he comes onto the website, how easy it is to ensure that you're not promoting, but you're, based on the context, you're delivering the right set of experience. It's not trying to cross-sell, upsell, but understand the sensitivity of the customer and ensure you're able to deliver a relevant experience. I think these are all the challenges. So I think what we see right now is marketers are taking a step back and saying, I want to realize the potential of digital, and this world is going to continuously change. So how do I go about doing it, right? I want to move away from tactics, and I just want to see what is my roadmap going to be 3 to 5 years from now. But we understand this roadmap is not going to be very concrete or set in stone. This has to keep on changing as the business dynamics is continuously changing. So I think this is very important, right? When you really look at it, every organization will have to, some of the best organizations today are saying, where are we today? What is our business strategy going to be next 24 months, 36 months? And what are the external factors which we need to think about? At this time, we don't have clear visibility into what's going to happen in the next 36 months, but at least we'll have visibility into what's happening in the next 12, 24 months. How do I bake it in? How do I put a baseline plan? How do I understand the gaps? and then put a roadmap together on what I'm going to address first, what I'm going to address second, what I'm going to address third, right? So this is very critical, right? Because if you really look at, I mean, one of the things they're doing is, not only looking at what's happening within their industry, but what's happening in the adjacent industries, right? One classic example which always comes to my mind is when we talk to financial institutions, the biggest challenge is they would like to, simplify the life of the customer. One of the big things they talk about is how do I do straight-through processing, right? Customer comes in, applies, there's a loan, account origination process which has been started. How do I make it seamlessly without, a manual intervention? But the challenge today in India is, if you are aware, is about at the end of the day you have to get a wet signature. But kind of interesting, about 2 weeks back, I think the travel company Miru has come up with an idea of why don't we use Aadhaar-based, authentication, right? So they're going to use fingerprint and retina sensors to, authenticate. So, these are happening in the adjacent industries. Is that something which you can take and apply within your industry when you have to authenticate the user, when you have to do those type of processes, so that at the end to end you can make your whole organization go digital, right? So I think when you build those roadmaps, you have to start not only looking at what your competitors are doing, what's happening within your industry, but also what's happening in the adjacent industries. I think there are three main critical things on the roadmap, right? One is technology, the other one is people, third one is process. When you talk about people, how do you get the right set of people who can understand analytics, understand where, not only diagnostic analytics, but who are also able to skill up to predicting what's going to happen in the future. Then the whole process sets in is how do you set up how can you put together a business plan? How do you benchmark it? How do you benchmark yourself with the rest of your peers in the industry and see whether you are making progress year over year? This is a very key thing, right? Technology can be a differentiator or could be an inhibitor when you're thinking about how you're going to interact with your customers. If you start to think about point solutions, or I have a problem today, this is what I want to fix, then you're going to have a blob of systems which you have to put together, right? As the industry or as the external environment changes. I think it's very important that you look at technology in terms of an integrated platform so that it aligns with your next 12 years, 24-month roadmap. The most important thing, what drives conversion, right? It's all about understanding the user context. It's not about user data, it's about user context, right? What do I mean by that is, user data is, I know, Thennavan, 40+ male, lives in Bangalore. But at this point in time, what am I doing, right? That's very important. If you don't know that I'm in Lalit Hotel speaking at IMA conference, I may be doing an outbound call I may be doing an outbound call, which is not the appropriate thing to do. And then comes content, right? Once you understand the user context, how do you understand what is the right content, what is the right messaging which you need to deliver, and finally is the response which you get from the user. You'll have to do a lot of test and target. What we are seeing is a lot of marketeers, marketeers who are pushing the boundaries, is now they've started to think about how do I bring in all this data together and distill the information. So if you look at, for example, even e-commerce companies all along, they used to have a marketing team, which is more, the important thing about marketing team was to drive traffic to the website. Then they have a storefront person who is responsible for converting in the, whose responsibility KPI was conversions. Then the whole thing about returns and all those things was not even taken into consideration. So it's now what we are seeing is more and more people are saying is, I want to get a holistic view of what's happening with my marketing initiatives. It's nice to say 100 people came to the website and about 40 bought, but out of the 40, did 30 return, right? Because that's not the place where you want to be, because then that means you're targeting the wrong people. Even if you take OTAs today, most of them have started to sell vacation packages. Now, most of the transactions is done through, call centers. So now people want to bring that data in and start to run correlation to understand whether calling the person within 24 hours, what's the impact, right? Calling the person within 48 hours, what's the impact? They want to bring all this data together and start to understand the customer a lot better. So once you have all this data, it's also about contextualizing the user, right? To understand what the user is doing at this point in time. The interesting thing is, some of the data parameters which marketeers are trying to pull in are geolocation data. In fact, we are working with one of the retailers who is trying to pull in weather data and see whether there is a correlation between the temperature and the type of products which is being sold to a particular targeted, geography. If that is the case, then they want to start pulling that data in and start to merchandise it a lot better, right? So I think that's very, very critical. In fact, there's another media company. They wanted to understand the consumption patterns of their end customers. So what they did was they had all this, how content is consumed. They overlaid that on with geo data, geolocation data. And also, then what they saw is that the patterns of the customers came, what they were able to understand is between 7 to 8 p.m., certain set of users preferred the short form of content, right? In the 12 to 1, it was a similar scenario. At 4 to 5, it was very similar scenario. And the same person, when they were at 8 o'clock in the evening, they preferred the long content. When they started to drill down and look at the geolocation data, they just found out that a lot of these people were traveling in trains. So when they are traveling in the trains in the morning, so basically they have the small screen, so they preferred short content. The same thing happened during lunchtime and at 4 to 5, right? Because they don't have that much time. So they started to change their entire publishing cycle based on what the customer is needing. Another successful case study is, Scott Trade, which is it's a broking firm, low-cost brokerage. They were running a lot of banners and they were pushing a lot of people into their system to sign up. What they realized was, since they didn't have what's happening in terms of the transactions, how many times did the user transacted, they were not able to understand what is the value of each sign up for the organization. So what they did was they started to bring that offline data back into the system. What they realized was they were chasing properties which was pushing in, long-term investors like me, right? So it didn't make sense for them because this is a low-cost brokerage. The target segment is pretty much people who keep on trading, right? They want more and more day traders so that's how they make their money. But instead of that, what they realized was that they're going after, long-term investors like me who do one trade a year, which is not a profitable segment to be in, right? So they completely changed the strategy. They started to allocate the advertising dollars, finding out where their exact target segments are based on the type of research they did. So I think it's, what I'm trying to, impress here is, so I think it's very important you get the data right, right? The data platform right. When you're investing in a data platform, think a little bit broadly, not just online. How are you going to take this offline data points, bring it in and use it for online marketing? The same thing applies. How can you take all this information, which is available online, how can you take that and bring it back into your back-end systems? So once you have all this information, now you have identified your high-value customers, you understand their behavior, you understand their user context. The next thing is how do you take this action into insight, right? So I think the big advantage of an integrated platform is if the platform supports a way where your analytics people can package these segments and your people who are there sitting there in a different organization, the storefront people or someone else in the organization who are responsible for increasing the conversion, they can use the same set of packages and start to do a lot of testing. I think the most important thing here is to do a lot of testing, right? Even though we've been talking about this for 3 to 5 years now, but marketeers are not yet, doing the testing because they don't have the right set of tools in place, right? I think it's very important to look at your high-value segments and start to test against those high-value segments, right? What is whenever you're rolling out an offer, how do I know whether that's I'm targeting my high-value segments, or is this all discount shoppers which are actually skewing the metrics? So I think it's very important to segment and then start to test content that go into it. The other most important thing is there's a lot of anonymous traffic which is coming in. How can we start to, the one thing is you just put one banner out there and expect everybody is going to, and leave it to chance, right? Instead of that, is there a way you can use automated decisioning algorithms which will look at different attributes of the user, where they are coming from, what browser, what are the past purchases and all those things, and target the right set of offers so that you would be able to, do an increase in uplift. I think these are two clear strategies which helps in driving uplift. So one example was, there was a Barclays card was testing out with NFL a couple of options, right? One is they wanted to roll out a co-branded card with NFL, which is the football league. So one of the things is they weren't sure whether, just promoting the benefits of the game or the benefits of the card will give you the bigger uplift, right? So here you see, which is the base testing, which talks about the benefits of the game. The game, right? Real fans deserve the real thing, right? It's on the right-hand side if you see. The other test which they ran was they basically give the benefits of the card in terms of, what is the APR, 0% APR, and the rest of the stuff. What they saw was, the alternate experience gave a 3.5x lift. That's very, very significant, right? So doing these type of tests before you roll out to particular segments is really going to be helpful in increasing your conversions. As I said, the other example was, you have a lot of anonymous traffic coming in. Even Adobe, in Adobe.com, we do about $1 billion in business, and about 95% of the population is not segmented, right? Because the rest is all, the 5% is where our high-value segments are. The 95% is not segmented. So when we flipped on the automated targeting, what we realized was we were able to see a 20% uplift on the home pages and about 25% on the product pages, right? So we were able to explore things which we would have not even known because the system itself discovered new clusters of people and then started to target based on which offer is going to reverberate with them. While testing is an easy thing to say, but the most important thing here is your assets are going to explode, right? Because you are, instead of just having one creative for a particular place, now you're going to start to tailor different creatives for different segments of people, and then you're going to have multiple devices, so it's going to explode exponentially. So I think the next thing to think about is how do you efficiently manage and deliver those assets, right? So is there a way you can take all these assets, centralize the assets so that you can reuse most of them, and then see how you can seamlessly deliver it to the device of customer's choice. So this way, while you're testing, your cost is still, not growing exponentially. So let me just give you a, brief thing on what we are doing here. As Adobe, what we have done in the last, I think it's 4 years now, is we walked down this path where we understood that we need a data platform, which is, we call it the master marketing profile, where it has all the behavioral data, and also you can load your data from your product, your backend system, and also get your third-party data in, and have a holistic view of the customer, and then use the same system and use the same information to, target them on social, to target them on, on your website, or it could be, delivering experiences across mobile, and also for testing. So the big thing advantage here is, it's an integrated platform. Every division of your company is working off the same data and delivering a very seamless experience to your end customers. The key takeaway is, begin with the end in mind, right? I think instead of looking at it as tactics, just take a step back, bring in the bigger vision where you want to be 12, 24 months from now, and see what's the gaps in the organization, in technology, people, and process. Second is technology plays a very key role. So I think it's important you look for a platform which is agile and which will scale as you grow the business. The third most important thing is how do you empower your business users to do all this, providing with them providing them with the right set of tools. Any questions?
My name is Pawan Nabas. We are actually trying to work on a SaaS platform for marketing as well as content management system. I just wanted to ask you, there are already a couple of analytics tools which are available online, most used one being the Google Analytics. That's the one that most people target for behavioral measurement of data, and A/B testing has become the norm in the industry. How is Adobe different from, say, the likes of HubSpot, which is also targeting marketers in the same segment? I mean, most of the crux that I got from your presentation was about inbound marketing stuff, which helps your clients target their customers better. So do you think HubSpot is already in this race a bit ahead of you guys?
See, as I said, we target the large enterprises, right? And we are the leader in the space. HubSpot, I think, if I remember correctly, goes after the small and medium businesses, right? So that's where the differentiation lies. The second area which you asked me was around, sorry, what is it? Yeah, Google Analytics, right? So as I said, our view is you need to have a holistic view of both your online, offline, right? And also bring in third-party data. I don't know whether, I'm not an expert in Google Analytics, so I won't be able to comment on it. I don't know whether Google Analytics enables you to bring in third-party data based on your needs, right? So at the end of the day, it's all about building a user profile, which is comprehensive, and building a context around what the user wants to do, so you understand the user better so that you can deliver a personalized experience across each interaction.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, quick question. I'm Rajiv from Reliance Jio. As the marketing world morphs, you're trying to create almost an ERP for marketing, right? So there is a sea change that's happening, real-time bidding, programmatic buying. These are the kinds of things that are coming in. You got those multi-plethora of things that you're talking about. You got creative that has now become 100,000 creatives instead of 3-4 creatives that you needed to do and all that stuff. How efficient or effective do you think the platform I put in place today is going to be? Because I know for sure that the marketing world is going to change in the next 3 years. When real-time bidding becomes much more powerful and all that stuff, I need to have all kinds of different things, DMPs and other things. So how efficient do you think your framework is in future-proofing for where we are going? Because nobody knows where we are going at this point in time.
Yes, completely agree with you. I don't think if somebody comes and says, I have a crystal ball and I know where the industry is going in 3 months, right, I would laugh at his face myself, right? So, but I think the important thing here is this marketing cloud is continuously evolving, right? Most of the stuff which you talked about, real-time bidding and DMP platform is already built into the marketing cloud, right? So I think the big advantage of looking at enterprise solution like Adobe is where, how do you take your information which is sitting out there, right, internally, and use it for, if you're talking about, buying out ads using RTB and all that stuff. That's very much possible to do. Today, some of our customers are doing it, which is, if they see that a customer is not coming to the website and, renewing their, contract or renewing their policy, and they know the policy is due, there's no, one of the ways is to send out emails, which is there in the system. The other one is to maybe target them to banner ads through an RTB. Very much possible to do. It's already there, right? As I said, so we are also evolving the system. The good thing is, iBeacons was a, new one which came into the industry about a year back. We already provide support for the iBeacons, right? So we are also evolving. This is not a platform which is, done and dusted, right? So there's a lot of innovation which is going on. in this platform. See, just to give you an example, right? One large soft drink manufacturer wanted to come in and they said, I want to take the same content and now I want to put it on my screens, right? So, in another 2 months, you'll be able to take the same content and put it on any display screens, right? So, we are evolving, we are co-innovating with our customers, we understand where the market is going, so you will be seeing being one step ahead of the market, if we can call it.
When you say iBeacon, you mean that indoor positioning system within stores,
yes.
And you provide support for that?
Yes, it's already supported in our mobile app, so we know that you are there, and I can send a targeted message based on that. In fact, I can send you if I know you are in the store, I can do an in-app message also, if I have to push it, so it's very much possible to do. So the good thing is, we have partnerships with all these people, right? Whether it's Google, Facebook, Twitter. So we do, we are pretty much we understand what features are going to come out 3 months ahead, 4 months ahead. So we're building all that into the platform, right? So I think we really want to keep the complexity out of the marketeers and the IT team as much as possible, and let the marketeers focus on, as you said, there's so much disruption which is happening in the marketplace. The last thing I want to know is make a call, get an Excel worksheet, try to put all this thing together, then, the time to market has moved away from me, right? So what I showed you is a little bit, very small of what we do. If you're interested to hear more, my recommendation is please drop by the booth. We have a lot more people. I think I haven't done justice for 25 minutes on this topic. We do a lot more, so please drop by a booth after this, and we'll be more than happy to take any questions you have.
Yeah, just one question over here. Over here, this side.
Sorry.
So to your left.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's just right on my eyes, sorry.
Okay, no problem. This is more about how to optimally and efficiently spend your marketing money. So there are a lot of channels which are online, the search, the digital, the display and all that. Plus there's offline stuff which is TV, radio, print. So if I'm a marketing company like Unilever and I have to put optimum spend on offline and online to reach out to my consumer, does Adobe provide a tool which helps me in doing the right modeling to spend my marketing money in a right way?
So I think the question you're asking me is about media mix modeling, right? So there are two approaches to this. One is a top-down and a bottom-up, right? So surely please drop by the booth, right? It's a long conversation. More than happy to engage with you. We also have specialists from this particular area who can talk to you about it. So we will surely do that. Booth is right outside the door. It's an interesting topic. I'm very much interested to engage with you on that. So, is there any more questions? Sorry, I'm blinded by the slides. So,
Any further questions, ladies and gentlemen?
thank you. Thanks for your time.
Let's have a round of applause to thank Mr. Subbiah.